Okay, today we are going to be starting chapter 8. This is going to be kind of a lengthy video. This coupled with our Zoom call, um, I'm going to not post an assignment. So basically, watching the video and um, um, commenting with your name to serve as attendance is going to be the bulk of your assignment today. You guys, I did push back the deadline for the script until next Friday, but I would like to start getting some of those soon. I can count the number of scripts that have been submitted on my thumb. So we got to get moving on those. All right. So paying for things. Now, payment methods, you can see in changing times, the way we pay for things is going to change. Now, cash has always been king. That being said, is it's accepted everywhere. Although, in light of current conditions, current climate, excuse me, many people don't want to accept cash with how little we know about the coronavirus. So I know things will get back to normal, but cash it could be on its way out as the main medium for paying for things. Okay. Now there is no bounce risk when you hand somebody cash. Businesses also like it because when someone pays for cash, that money is in the register right now. Okay. When something is paid for with a credit card or some kind of electronic app, the money doesn't get there immediately. Okay, there's usually a lag. It could be 2 to 3 business days, depending on the platform that they're using. Plus, when a transaction occurs in cash for a business, they get 100% of the purchase. Okay, when something happens on a credit card, the credit card company, like Visa or Mastercard, is going to take a service fee for processing the transaction. And also, that money won't be available for a couple days into your account. Cash is great for a lot of businesses because of that kind of advantage. A lot of times, businesses will offer a discount if you pay in cash. The disadvantages of you paying in cash is, um, you know, you have to carry around large amounts of money, which can be unsafe at times. Also, like if you're at a restaurant and you entered with $100, you are leaving once you've used all your money. On a credit card, many times you'll say, "Hey, yeah, let's get dessert. Let's get something else. Let's get another round." When you spend with a credit card, we'll have a typically higher balance when we spend. But when we spend with cash, once we're done with our cash, we're done. Now, again, a disadvantage is when we're paying in cash, it has to be done in person. We're not sending cash through the mail. And Also, when you pay with cash, unless you asked for a receipt, there's no record of the payment. Okay, that is why some businesses like using cash because they don't want to record the payment. That's kind of shady. So just be wary of things like that. This is from a friend's experience. Never pay something like rent in cash without a receipt. Okay, because that's your word against theirs. If when it comes time to when the rent comes due. So you don't want to pay rent in cash and then have the landlord turn around and say you never paid me. So um, the other ways we're going to start to pay for things, and when I'm talking about ways to pay for things, I'm talking mostly bills and stuff. Um, if I have cash, if I have the cash in my account, many times I put it on the credit card because I never carry a balance, so I'll get reward points and cash back for things like that. But when I'm paying bills want to be paid with a personal check or an electronic check, which we'll get to later. So the advantages of writing personal check is you can easily send it through the mail. It can only be cashed by the person who you made the check out to. They're very easy to use. They're very inexpensive. And once that check has been canceled, it can't be used again. And that canceled check you'll get record of on your bank statement, and it can serve as proof of payment. So when your landlord comes back and say, "Hey, you never paid me," you can go back to your records and say, "Well, I made this check out to you, and it cleared." So that it's that'll stand up in court. So we want to have that record of payment. Now, the act of physically writing out the check allows you to see money going out. Many times with app-based things, money's going in and going out, and you have no real idea of what your balance is going to be. And sometimes just writing out the check makes you question whether you should be making the payment or not, or spending that money or not. Now, disadvantages of writing a personal check and sending it in the mail: it can get lost or it can get delayed. So when when my credit card bill needs to be done by the 15th, that means I should probably have it in the mail by say the 5th, because you want to make sure that there's a lag built in for any type of delay. Now, with credit card companies, they've had some bad practices of just either pretending to lose the check or shredding the check or just cashing it a day after your due date to as a way to ramp up charging late fees. So when it comes to your credit card company, I would set up an electronic check. You'd use your account information. You use your routing number that's at the bottom of one of your checks, and you can get that set up. It takes about 10 minutes. And once it's set up, you can theoretically never be late on a payment again. All right. Since it can be lost in the mail or it can be delayed, you need to plan ahead and make sure it arrives far in advance of the due date. Now, the one thing about personal checks is they're not accepted everywhere as for payment. Anytime you're taking a personal check, there's a chance that check can bounce. So certain companies who have been burned before won't accept it, especially if they don't know you. Okay. Now, a way you can combat the bounce risk is something called a money order. A money order is you are actually physically buying a check. You can either buy it from the post office or you can buy it from the bank. Now, the advantage, you can send it through the mail just like you would a check. And the advantage here is it's prepaid, so there's no bounce risk. So whoever you're sending it to knows that they can cash it and they'll accept the money order from you when they sometimes won't accept a personal check. If you've ever bounced a check for, let's say, cable, rent, or whatever, in the future, they're probably going to ask you for a money order. Okay. And they'll no longer accept personal checks. Now, the disadvantage here, you do have to pay a fee to purchase a money order. Okay. It's not hugely expensive, but the cost adds up. So if you add that expense for every bill that you have to do month after month after month, the number can add up to be quite substantial over time. Now, you can't use money orders for large purchases. So think in the neighborhood of $200-$300 is probably where it's going to start to max out. Now, getting one is also inconvenient. You got to go to the post office or you got to go to the bank in order to get one. Now, like I said before above, the money orders can't work for large purchases. When you do have a large purchase, then what you're going to do is you're going to get a bank check or a cashier's check. Okay. A cashier's check, just like a regular check, can be sent through the mail, but it's actually a check that was written through the bank based off of bank funds. So there's no way that this check is going to bounce, not unless the bank goes out of business. Now, you would use a cashier's check for things like down payment on your house. Let's say that's a check for like $50,000-$60,000. So that would be a bank check, not a money order. Okay, and you would definitely not use a personal check for something like that. Now, there disadvantages. There's a fee, and it's often you have to get them in person as well. Now, one of the things you can do with a personal check, though, is you can go to the bank and get a personal check certified. Okay, so a certified check means that the bank has looked into your account, has certified that the funds are available, and actually puts those funds aside specifically for that check, so that check will clear. Okay, so it's guaranteed payment. There's no bounce risk. The disadvantage is, again, you have to go to the bank in order to get it, and you have to pay a fee to certify. if you have to do this on a lot of things, that fee can really add up and it can be very inconvenient. Now, where things are headed today, and I think the coronavirus has actually accelerated this, is we all want contact-free transactions. So I don't have to hand money from person to person. So more and more things are going to become electronic. And they were already trending in that direction. I think this is going to accelerate it. Now, online payments, okay. Now we're going to need a bank account number and a routing number. In many cases, there's no fee to sign up. Sometimes you even get a discount for signing up. We get to pick the day of the money is deducted from our checking account, and we can authorize transactions. You need to know if you're going to have enough money in your account in order for the transaction to occur. Although electronic and online payment is great, and I love it and I prefer it, you need to be on top of your checkbook register, because if these are happening automatically, then you just have to make sure that there's enough in your checking account that's being drawn from, so that you won't have a bounce or a failed payment go through. Now, one of the disadvantages of the online payment route is this means you're going to each website. So each creditor that you have, so my cable company, my gas company, my electric company, the water bill, like the list goes on and on. My car payment. I'd have to go to each and every one of those websites, put in my information, and set up the online payment. Now, once it's done, it's great. You save on postage, you save on checks, and you can never be late. So you're going to save on late fees. The problem is you're putting a lot of personal information on a lot of different sites. So as long as you can trust the security of each of the websites that you go to, and that those companies are putting in that extra for that added security, then it's not a huge deal. Okay, but there's been a lot of very, very bad hacks in recent memory. Okay, now online banking is something different. Okay, it's very similar to online payment, but instead of going to each and every website, I go to one website, my bank. Okay, I set up all the payments that I want through my bank. So I'm giving my bank all my creditors' information, from my credit card to my cable to my internet to my electric, like you name it. So I'm putting in all that on their website, and then going through the bank to authorize payments. So it's very convenient in the fact that I only need to go to the one website. My bank is responsible for the payment. So once I've set up the payment and I ask my bank to pay by this date, if the bank fails to do so, then they're going to pick up any late fees. Now, once I do this, I can still authorize all my transactions to make sure that there's enough money in my account or accounts to pay for whatever bill is coming up. Now, depending on your account, there could be a lot of fees attached to this. So the online payment, there's typically no fees attached. The bank, depending on your account and how much business you do with the bank, it could be a monthly fee or per transaction fee. Now, your personal information for all your creditors could be compromised if the bank's systems are hacked. The one thing about that is banks usually go the extra mile for paying for security. So they have the top-notch security, but since they are a bank, they're actually a top target of hackers. Okay, they get hacked, or they get hacking attempts more often than most other businesses. Now, automatic payments, we do want to set these up. Again, very convenient. Many times for having the automatic payment set up, there's discounts for signing up. Although, again, it can be time consuming to set up each account. And again, the automated nature of it gets us to forget about it. So like on the 15th of the month, the money's just coming out. Well, you have to keep track of your checkbook register and make sure that on that 15th of the month, when that money's coming out, there's enough money in the account to cover it. All right, wire transfers. These are for larger dollar values. You can, with a wire transfer, you can move large amounts of money extremely fast to almost anywhere in the world, and you get confirmation of the funds arrival. Disadvantages of wire transfers: you don't want to do these a lot. There's fees for the transaction, and they need to be set up in person. Um, Not unless you have an extraordinarily close relationship with your banker, and you do wire fund transfers all the time. Can they authorize them over the phone? All right, now we're not going to be doing a lot of wire transfers, but as one of the growing markets here is peer to peer. So applications like Venmo and Zelle. Venmo is owned by PayPal, and PayPal really made an effort to get this out to younger people, those in high school and in college. It's a way for them to get their allowance from their parents, but they're used for things like, we were going out to the movies. Well, you put it on your credit card. Well, I'll just Venmo you some of the cash. The Venmo is not really a moneymaker yet, but they're trying to get ingrained in the way you pay for things, and the way you pass money from person to person. It'll become so ingrained in your lifestyle that eventually they'll start paying some kind of fee for it, and you'll just like it so much that you'll be willing to do that. And that's probably 5 to 10 years out. But the advantages is you can move money extremely fast directly from an account to another party. Many times all you need is their email or a cell phone number, and you can send them $5, $10, $15. You get confirmation that the funds arrived. Currently, the population of users is a little bit low, and in the Gen X generation hasn't really adopted this fully, but more and more are starting to add to it. And you really can't use large sums of money, but it's great for just we went out to dinner, we wanted to split the bill. Here's $20. I don't have my cash, but I'll send it to you through Venmo. Now, Zelle is a partnership to rival Venmo, and I think there were about 5 or 6 major banks realized that Venmo was really catching on with some younger kids. Zelle put this together and offered it free to I think Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and a handful of other U.S. banks partnered together to try and get some of that market back. So there's a lot of money behind Zelle, although Venmo seems to be the one that has been more readily adopted. Okay, so once again, this is going to move a little bit. This is going to start to grow a little bit more as cash transactions are now frowned upon in a post-corona world. All right, so I'm not going to do the application. We're going to start to look at some activities when I see you guys next week. But I did want to give you guys today, since we are Zooming today, to really start to hammer out that script. The script and the presentation, the video presentation. I know you guys need to work on that a lot, because although the final deadline for the presentation is the 19th, the 19th will be here before you know it. I think we only meet 9 more times. Okay, so make sure you're doing some work even when we're not meeting. All right, guys, have a good day. Get to work.